One thing that doesn't allow at the moment is if we're running a web browser inside of our virtual machine here, if we try to get to some newer place like utah.edu, then it gets totally stuck. In fact, it's going to turn out it can't even resolve the name utah.edu. It just gets stuck trying to resolve that. To allow DNS, I'm going to consider that my machine currently is configured to use 127.0.0.53 as a name server. That's what it got when it was given the address on startup. So I'm going to allow all packets to that address. We go back to our configuration here, and I'm going to allow on input anything where the destination is 127.0.0.53. I'm not trying to filter it to DNS packets or UDP packets all. I'm just going to accept all of those. And anything from the source too, because these are both my machine. They need to answer and reply. So let's allow it both input and output. Let's see if I got that right. So we will run that firewall, and now we are able to resolve names again. Does that help us in our web connection here? Behaves a little differently now. It doesn't immediately say I can't connect to the server. It's just getting stuck here trying to connect. Of course, the problem now is that I have configured to let the internet access my web server, but I'm not allowing my machine to access other web servers. So let's add a rule for that. I will allow outgoing connections over TCP that are destined to some HTTPS server. And as we know, we also need to accept incoming replies over TCP to our ephemeral port that our web browser is going to use. So that is a local port, and the ephemeral range, we will accept those as well. So let's install that firewall and try again. And it does work this time. So all of that is demonstrating some of the fine grainness of the rules that you can use here. I think I don't have the right rules set up though. As we saw in our original motivation here, by allowing replies to our ephemeral ports, we've also allowed connections to be created anywhere into our machine. So that if I have like another server running, that's my private test server, now the whole internet can get to my private test server as well. That one's running at 8001, and we can get to the private page there, which is that other server I just started. So we don't want to allow these connections to be initiated from the outside. And one thing we did in our slides was say, allow these, but only if the ACK flag is set. So we can block those by saying TCP flag. And that takes two arguments. It says which flags you want to consider and which one should be set. So I want to insist that the ACK flag is set. So we run this, and now we switch back to the web server, make sure that it still works. And it does seem to still work. And now go back to our terminal. Can we access the private one? And we cannot. So even though packets in general are allowed into port 8001, not packets without the ACK flag, that is send packets, are not allowed in. So hopefully this gives you some idea of what you can do with IP tables and firewalls, and how it can be pretty subtle to find the right rules to put here. These may not be the best rules to implement the policy I have in mind, and it takes some practice and experience to know how to deploy these rules effectively.